Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you my review on some Arteza art supplies. I was contacted by this company several weeks ago who wanted to know if I would be interested in testing some of their products in exchange for my honest review on my YouTube channel. And I've had some students who have asked about this particular brand, and I had never tried it, so I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to give you my opinion on what I think of these, and so we're going to go ahead and get started. The company sent me 3 different things. I'm going to go through them one by one with you. The first thing that they sent me was a 6-pack of premium water brushes. I have already opened these, but this is what the packaging looks like. We're going to set all of this aside so we can concentrate on just one thing at a time here. So the water brushes, I think these would be great for anybody to use, whether you are a professional artist or whether you are a hobbyist. They come in different sizes. There are 3 flat and 3 round, and what you do is you just unscrew the lid and you fill it with water, and you screw the lid back on, and right here in the center there is 2 little pieces of rubber that you pinch together to help release the water into the base of the brush, and this way you can just grab these and you can go. You don't have to have a container of water handy. This is great for plein air painting. If you are out in a field somewhere, the last thing that you want to do is go searching for water to activate your watercolors. You don't need to worry about that when you are using these. The only thing that I did not like about these were the flat brushes. Getting the lids back on was really difficult for me. This is pretty wide, as you can see, so getting this back on, you can't just put the cap back on because the bristles will split and they'll bend back onto the brush. So I found myself having to sort of hold them together and wiggle it back on, which, I mean, it can be done. It's not like something that I would say, oh, I'm never going to use these because of this. But you just have to be very careful when you put your lid back on. And basically it is the same for the large and for the medium one. Once you kind of get the hang of it, it's a little bit easier, but I am very impatient when it comes to my artwork. So I just like to be able, chances are I probably wouldn't even worry about these caps, but if you're out in the field somewhere, then you'll definitely want to have them to protect them. Just be aware that they're a little bit challenging to get on. There are also 3 round, and I have, as can you see which one I've been using? I've been using this middle one right here, but there is a larger tip, and there is a medium tip, and then there is a fine tip here. As you can see with this center one, the bristles do tend to stain a little bit, but it does not affect the way your color comes out onto the paper. I use a paper towel and I wipe the bristles back and forth on the paper towel until it wipes clean, and I never have to worry about any of the previous color coming off onto the paper. I haven't had any issues with that whatsoever. So these are the brushes. Like I said, the brushes I think would be good for anyone, whether you're a professional artist or whether you're a hobbyist. They're just convenient to have. So this was the first thing that I received. The second thing that I received from this company was a set of 24 premium watercolors, and this is what it looks like. There is a wide range of colors here, as you can see, and I thought there was a good variety of colors. This is a great beginner set. If you are new to watercolor, this would be really good for you, I think, just because there is such a wide variety range of colors. I do want to explain to you, excuse me, what the little plus signs here mean and what the square here means. You'll see that this is on each of these tubes. The tubes, by the way, are 0.4 US fluid ounces. So you get quite a bit of color here for these tubes. But for those of you who don't know what these symbols mean, let me explain. Light fast. The plus signs let you know how light fast each of these colors are. And if you are wondering, well, what does light fast mean? Basically, all that means is once you have your painting finished, how are these colors going to hold up over the course of time before they begin to start fading? Generally, the more expensive the colors are, the longer they will hold up under lighting conditions, like UV lighting, sunlight conditions, things like that. I am so sorry. I am just getting over the flu. I've been sick, and so I still have a little frog in my throat, so I apologize that I keep clearing my throat. Okay, so light fast here. There are 3 of these plus signs. For 3 plus signs, generally, I have been asking the company to let me know their opinion on that, because, you know, it doesn't tell you how long in years. It just, you know, is it excellent? Is it good? Is it poor? But really what it breaks down to is if you have a 3, then generally it is considered fair. If you have a light fast of 2, which is what this orange yellow is, a 2 is very good light fastness, and there are no 1s here. A 1 would be considered very poor. So in all, I think a 2, if I remember correctly, if you have 2 plus signs, then that means that under normal conditions of display, your painting should be good for 50 to 100 years, as long as your painting is not in direct exposure and as long as it is not consistently exposed to humidity levels, things like that. So like museum conditions where it would be, your artwork would be protected. So that's what a 2 is. A 3 would be considered between anywhere between 15 and 50 years before it would start to fade a little bit. So the squares that are next to the plus signs that you see here, the squares let you know how transparent the color is. So if you lay down a color that, this one here, since it's half and half, this means it's semi-transparent, which means that you will see a little bit of what is underneath. If you have something that is completely transparent, which would be white here, that means that you would be able to see what is underneath that color. If you have one that is, this would be considered black here, this means that it is completely opaque, which means that you're not going to see anything that is underneath that color. So anyway, that lets you know what those colors mean. The only thing that I did not like about this particular set is that you see these strips of color here. It gives you an indication of what color is inside if you are not reading it. I mean, it tells you right across the front. It says that this is raw umber. It says this one is sap green, and then it gives you an indication as to what the color looks like. Not all of these are true to what they look like on the outside. This raw umber to me looks more like an army green, but yet when I open it up, it looks like brown, almost like the bark of a tree. So it's pretty off. This particular one is. Now some of them are much, much better. The yellow ochre is very true to what it looks like inside. It's identical to what it looks like inside, but not all of them are. This pale mauve here, this almost looks like a lavender to me, but yet when I unscrew the cap, it's dark in there. This is looks like a deep purple to me, so it is not necessarily going to be true to what it looks like on the outside. And for people like me who do not like to read when I'm creating, I just like to scan what color I need, grab it, and go. I am having to remind myself that I have to look and make sure that the color is going to match. Because if I'm working, I don't always want to have to take the cap off to see that it's the color that I want. I want to be able to tell without having to do that extra step. So anyway, this is the second thing that I got. And the third thing that they sent me were 2 packs of watercolor paper. This is cold press, 140-pound watercolor paper. There are 32 sheets to each pack, and you get a 2-pack when you purchase it. This is a dual-sided watercolor paper, which means that on one side it is semi-textured, and on the other side it is smooth. I don't know if this is going to show up or not. No, it's not going to show up. My camera's not good enough. But it's still pretty smooth. It's a very soft paper. For a 140-pound weight, it feels like 140 pound, but it almost feels very luxurious. It feels very, very soft. Even the textured side is not very textured. It says, does it say that it's cold press? Yes, it says up here that it's cold press, but this is not the kind of cold press that I am used to. This is a bit smoother than the cold press that I'm used to. And the opposite side feels really like a hot press paper. It's very smooth. So that is a good thing to note on here. It says here that it is good for watercolor techniques and mixed media. This I believe to be true because you can easily cut this paper, you can glue things onto this paper, and the colors that you can use, which I am going to show you here. I'm just going to do a little bit of a demonstration with one of these pens so you can get an idea of how the colors lay. We're just going to bring this over. We're going to use this ultramarine blue, and I'm going to put a little bit of this into my well. I don't know if you can hear or not. I have my microphone on, but the wind is insane out there. It is really whistling. Okay, so we're going to pretend that I'm out in a field somewhere. I don't have any water container, so I am relying solely on my brush pen here. So I am going to squeeze a little bit and release some water and pull some of this color, and we are just going to get started. I'm going to put this onto dry paper. So I can see the texture of the paper underneath this pretty well. This is the rough side, and we are just going to move. I'm going to squeeze a lot of water out of this and see how much of this we can pull down. And usually how I like to test my watercolors to see if I like them is whether or not I like the way that they mix. If they mix well together, then that usually gives me a pretty good indication as to whether or not I like them. So I'm going to try it with this yellow ochre. So once I have that color down, then I am just going to do this onto my paper towel until it comes clean. And then we're going to put a little bit of this yellow ochre in my well here, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to squeeze out some water, and I mean, the colors are beautiful. They're vivid, they're bright. I do really like that. The really, really inexpensive student grade watercolors, I have seen a lot of them, and they don't get very bright at all, or they dry almost muddy. And these have dried pretty well, actually. They remain true to the color. They don't dry terribly muted. And if you know my work at all, you know that I really like color. So now I'm going to squeeze water here in the center, and we're just going to see how much of this I can pull through. So it's mixing pretty well. I'm going to see if I can pull some of this blue down. I'm going to really squeeze on this middle part here and bring some of that color down. I'm going to get a little bit more of that. Okay. And then every time I change colors, I'm just rubbing it back and forth onto my paper towel until it comes clean. And I am going to sort of reactivate this. A lot of times you can't do that with, at least I have not been able to do that successfully with some watercolor once it's down. But this kind of reactivates once it dries pretty quickly. But when I go back to it with water, it has been reactivating a little bit, and allows me to rework it just a little bit. So these colors are, as you can see, they are pretty good colors. And I'm just going to put some sea salt on here. They're vivid, and as they dry, they have been staying pretty vivid. I am going to show you another. This is another one that I did as I was testing out the paper earlier. This has been dry for a while. I also put salt on this, and it took the salt really well and left a nice texture, as you can see here. And the color did not dry too muted. I think that they dried pretty well. They're still vivid colors, which are nice. The paper, I think, is a good paper. I think I would use this more for mixed media than I would straight up watercolor, probably. That's my preference. I like a more traditional cold press, which has a little bit more texture to it. And for a cold press paper, this doesn't feel like a traditional cold press to me. So I would probably use this more for mixed media than I would for solid watercolor, but that again is just personal preference. I would like to share with you the prices for these, should you decide that you might be interested. For a lot of us, it's always the price that makes the decision for us. So this set here of paint, again, this is 24, and right now on Arteza's website, this video was filmed in April of 2019, and as of this taping, their price for this set is $26.99. For the 6-pack of watercolor brushes, they are $14.87. There are 6 of these. There's my 6th one right there. 6 of these for $14.87. These are good. I do like these. I would use these. I would find myself reaching for these probably quite often. And then lastly, the paper, which let me grab that. So the paper, this comes again in a 2-pack, and so for a 2-pack of paper, you get 32 sheets in each pack. Their paper is $26.99 for both packs. So my final thoughts on this brand, I think that everything I received here, I think this again would be good for whoever might want to use it, whether you're a beginner or whether you're a professional. I like these. I would use these without hesitation. The watercolors, I think these would be great for people who are working in art journals or who are working in mixed media especially. And again, as far as light fastness goes, that is a personal preference of whether or not you are comfortable with the idea of the light fastness of these being anywhere between 15 and 100 years before they fade. So that is something I probably would go for. My more expensive watercolors that have a light fastness of over 100 years. But again, I sell a lot of original paintings, and that is a personal preference for me. I want to make sure that my paintings are going to last a very, very long time. 15 years or 20 years even is still, it's we're talking about within somebody's lifetime, and you don't want to have your artwork fading or disappearing altogether. Now granted, again, none of these are poor in light fastness, but there aren't any that are considered excellent either. So we're talking about mid-range here. And lastly, the paper. I think the paper is good paper. I would see myself using this paper for mixed media. Again, I'm just used to a more traditional cold press, and cold press is my favorite. I do use hot press. If you like hot press paper, you probably would like this paper because it has more of a soft texture, and the opposite side, which is a lot smoother than this cold press side, really feels like a true hot press. So I think that this would be good for anybody who likes hot press watercolor paper or who likes to work in mixed media. So there you have it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to have links to each of these items below in the description bar. These are going to be affiliate links, which means that if you decide to purchase any of these things and you click on one of the links that are in the description bar below, then I will earn a very small percentage of commission, which will help to keep my channel alive and going. But I recommend that you go to the website and you read the reviews, look at other videos, and decide for yourself whether or not you think that these art supplies are good for you personally. So there you have it. I hope you guys have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.